In a world where comics, movies, games, rumors, and Kardashians come at you 24/7, 3 champions will rise to defend you from wasting precious time, money, and emojis. BK, Nate, and Derek will show you how to do it the player way.
Ladies and gentlemen and everyone in between, this is your boy BK. It's on once again, Patron once again. Back with my co-captains, Derek.
Corrupted the system, you already know.
And Nate.
Hi, how are you?
Yeah, man. Y'all, I got that energy, man. I got that energy. I have the power! When I come back to
What power do you have?
I'm telling you, the power of
the player way.
We come back every single week via iTunes, Google Play, YouTube, or you can just go to playlifeyourway.com. Air horn again, that's what I'm talking about. And again, like I said, I'm BK at playlifeyourway on Instagram. And I feel like I'm working so hard on Instagram, I deserve an Instagrammy.
I like how you did that. Nice.
Yeah, stole those lyrics from rappers.
I want from rappers who put together those lyrics, hip-hop and other black words.
Exactly. Exactly.
It's not outside the realm of possibility to think they'll give awards for social media.
Hey,
sometimes.
you know, that may happen someday. But
How do they
speaking of
not?
awards, I don't even want to know what you guys did this week because I already know. So instead of going into what Derek has been into this week, what Nate has been into this week, what BK has been into this week, let's just go straight into the sports rundown.
Oh.
Yes, it's time for the sports rundown, brought to you by the Playaway Podcast. Take it away, gentlemen.
It's time.
It's time.
Your starting lineup.
It's time. It's time for the sports rundown. The player way.
Sports rundown. And we're going to go straight on over to Derek with this because he is our trusted associate producer who has all of the hot sports opinions lined up for us. So take it away, D.
All
Give us
right.
the D.
Well, the preseason has now officially started, I guess. Started on Wednesday with the Texans and Panthers, which I don't care about that. So, but because it's the Texans and it's the Panthers. I know you may be more concerned about the Panthers since they're in your division, BK, but
No,
it's still preseason football. Honestly, we all
Did
know
they
that
lose?
no, the
Carolina
Panthers won.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Then I definitely don't care.
Exactly. But, you know, it's preseason. Everybody out there is playing for a job. We're trying to see who's doing what's doing this. But my Cowboys did play. At the time of this recording, it was last night, but by the time you're hearing it, it was last Saturday night. Either way, the same time they still played. But they played the L.A. Rams. And we'll just fast forward through the whole game because they lost. And that's just that.
And that's the way it was.
And that's the way it was. That's right. They lost by a blowout score of 13-10 in a game that looked like it was a bunch of high schoolers who forgot how to play football. I think there was 6 fumbles in this game combined. Just, you know, I always loved the machine that is the league of the NFL, that whenever you see these moments and you hear all through the offseason, all through the OTAs, everything, how yes, we're a finely tuned machine, and our defense, we're really getting off the snap, and we have all these other random sports coach talk. And then you see preseason, and it just looks like the JV. The JV team is out there throwing the ball around.
We are a new franchise. We've never played together before, but we're gonna work the kinks out.
We got to go out there and we got to make some plays. That's what we got to do.
Yes. And in the words of my robotic head coach, it was good football out there in all 3 phases. The offensive, we had a lot of plays, but we got to hustle. We're going to make some more adjustments on the plays, and the plays that are going to be adjusted are going to be adjusted plays for confusing the defense to make sure that our plays are adjusted too. And he needs to update his Rams, so he needs to go ahead and make sure the Cowboys are practicing on some meaningful things in their offseason. But moving on, really, preseason talk, we're not going to get too much on this. I know your Falcons played. I say played, but they were on the field
Listen. Look, I'm gonna shoot myself on this situation and my whole city. I love my city. We are a proud people here in Atlanta, and the thing that we all came into the first game of the preseason thinking, we were like, okay, all right, we just playing the Dolphins. You know what I'm saying? We thinking, okay, we come into the situation. We still champions. We still champions. I put that tweet out there.
NFC champions.
Look, we are still champions. You know what I'm saying? We have no reason to hold our head down. How this gonna be? This our season. In the words of every Dallas Cowboy fan, this our season right here. You know what I'm saying? We gonna do a demo.
We stole that from the Red Sox. We stole it from the Red Sox. They had a good run.
Season right here. You know what I'm saying? We ready. You know what I'm saying? Bruh, we went in there, and just like a replay of the Super Bowl, we started off amazing, and we let them off the hook.
What's nuts is I'm looking at like all these scores. Like I feel like everybody played for real on like Thursday and Friday, and then you get to Saturday where the two games have a combined total score of 20-13. The Titans played a game and lost 7-3. And the Cowboys were 13-10. They didn't even you could just tell these pieces are just trying to come together. People are trying to do whatever they can, but it's preseason. But
but
realistically,
still, dude. But anybody looking at the Atlanta Falcons, they looking at the eyes is on us right now. All right, we done completely screwed up an opportunity. We had the game won. And we sat around here and let the Dolphins.
And you let them off the hook.
Bro, they were who we thought they were.
You want to crown them? Then crown them. You want to crown them? Then crown them.
Yes, dude. So that was painful to watch.
Dolphins going to be an interesting team to watch this year.
They are, man. They are.
I'm actually kind of interested in that division. Hell, the Jags even beat the Patriots. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
this might be a
preseason football.
Spoken like a true Patriot fan.
The biggest thing about preseason is
once blue-eyed, beautiful Tom Brady steps on the field,
it is a wrap. It will be a wrap.
Touchdown, Tommy.
Oh, man.
But it's preseason. The biggest thing about preseason are going to be the moves that teams are making, off-field stories, on-field stories, and my Cowboys, of course, had a suspension handed down this week.
Man, that was the talk of the week, man. Give us some hot sports opinions about that.
Here's the thing. My hot sports opinions are as follows. The investigation that a police department came to the ruling where they had no evidence and they were not going to press any charges or anything negative toward this man over a year ago. It's not like the league got new evidence against Zeke and was like, oh, yes, here's the same thing that we saw for the past year that we've been dragging on. But we had an occurrence in March where he flipped some well-endowed woman's shirt up and, gave a good honk to that. And then allegedly in a club, he punched a guy who has yet to be found. Must have been paid off really, really quick. Can't even find him. Even his employer can't find him. And here we are. We have a suspension that's passed down to Zeke because of an alleged domestic incident. And the league's rule of their firm standing on it as of 5 minutes ago is it's always 6 games. Now, if you remember a couple years ago, Ray Rice, and then it was 2 games, but we haven't seen him since. So the league is always under criticism and microscope for how they dole out their punishments. And this is another one of those occurrences where they're just not handling it the right way. They're just giving 6 games out based off literally an investigation. That's it. That's literally it. Now, I'm not condoning like abusive behavior, but there is no evidence, and she has gone out and made public statements that she said this to hurt him specifically. Witnesses, friends, testimony, signed documents, carrier pigeon smoke signals all point to the fact that that's all it was. But the league's going to give him 6 games. 6 games, and I'm crazy? It's because he's got a star on the helmet. If this was a Browns player, no one would have batted an eye. A Jags player, no one cares. But it's a Dallas Cowboys. It's Jerry Jones. Their owner just got put in the Hall of Fame. Let's give their star running back a 6-game suspension. But Jerry Jones upset about this, and he's already said he's suing. Jerry Jones, the owner of a $4-point-some-odd billion franchise, says he's mad about it and going to sue. So, hey, man, I mean, you paid the cost to be the boss, and he is the boss, and he paid the cost, and he is the boss. So that's really what it is. That's really all I got to say about that. It is what it is. But honestly, the LA Rams made some bigger moves than the Cowboys.
Well, and, touching back on the Ezekiel topic, that's huge. 'Cause I love fantasy football.
Yeah,
I look forward to it every year. Ezekiel Elliott is undoubtedly
the number 1 draft pick.
Yeah, but out for 6 weeks, that's about half of a fantasy season. Typical fantasy season goes for 13 weeks. So, is he worth drafting in the first round? Probably not, because 6 weeks could make your season. And if you play in a keeper league, is he worth keeping again? So that's a touchy situation.
It is a touchy situation. Last year, before I led into my fantasy season, I still drafted Tom Brady right after I drafted Dak Prescott. And everyone ridiculed me for drafting Dak Prescott, and I still want to rub that second place finish in their face. But I still did draft Tom Brady, and you know how many people were trying to get him off my draft board after I drafted him? Because he was out the first 4 games last year, if y'all remember. For allegedly deflating balls to win the game. Deflating footballs to win the game, dude. You have 4 rings. What are you flattening footballs for? Nah, it's all right. I'll just go out and get a 5th and have a supermodel wife and multi-million-dollar life. But fantasy football.
Nate started off the segment by saying, his part of the segment saying, fantasy football is important to me. Fantasy football isn't just important to you guys who love to play fantasy. I play every now and again when I really get inspired to play. This seems like a season that I might actually want to get in there, which we need to talk later if we want to get into some gentleman's bet this season action by, maybe doing some fantasy. But anyway, that's a different conversation for later in the show. My point in all of this is that stars are made via fantasy football now. Back in the day, it was about making that big play of the week. That's not where the money is at anymore. If you're an agent and you're like trying to get your client on, it's through
fantasy
their performance.
Points.
From week to week, and really making sure that they are a star player when it comes to fantasy. They may not make the most points. They may not make the best saves. They may not have the most sacks. But if you're a consistent player from week to week to week, you're going to become a star by the end of the season. And next season, everybody's going to be clamoring to have you on their team. So, it's definitely something to be said for fantasy. Watching fantasy is incredibly important. That's how you find out who the next stars are going to be and who those Hall of Famers are going to be on down the line. So, absolutely.
So Peyton Hillis made it on the cover of Madden. That's
bro. Yes, exactly. He made it to the cover because of his fantasy stats.
1 year of fantasy stats.
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
In unrelated news on sports, I know this is not exactly sports, but it is sports related. Ballers is on HBO. We talked a lot about HBO last week, but we did not mention Ballers. The newest season of Ballers is out. Great show to watch if you are a football fan. So there's tons of football-related content out there on Amazon. We talked about All or Nothing.
Don't forget about The League, too. The League is one of my favorite shows to watch. It's hilarious fantasy football.
Bless us, man. Bless us with it.
I don't know if you either of you two guys watch The League, but every year it's just entertaining. It reminds me of a somewhat classier version of Always Sunny in Philadelphia, but pretty much anything's classier than Always Sunny in Philadelphia. But I do love that show.
I agree with that.
I believe
similar to Always Sunny in
it's
Philadelphia.
over though. It ended last year.
It is, but it's still a good show.
Yes,
to
that's
watch.
what I'm saying. Like they recently added the most recent season. I want to say season 8 to Netflix or 7. But the reason you just mentioned the fantasy football just reminds me that is still a good show, still good laughs on that, and they do have some good cameos of some players. It's always a good throwback to see something on there too. But man, fantasy football, man, that's a whole different world, man. It's totally evolved to even like the FanDuel sites and everything like that. I don't know if you're into that, Nate, but a lot of people aren't trying to do like these whole season things. They're trying to do the week to week, to where you don't have to worry about. Or my biggest play always in fantasy football is, the guy who got injured 7 minutes into the game and he's my starter. And I never understood why Yahoo Sports wouldn't be like, let me have a backup running back and just have his stats from the second quarter to the end of the game. That's a simple thing. That's a simple procedure. But sites like FanDuel, FanDuel's probably the biggest one. Who's the other one now?
DraftKings.
That's kind of out there. DraftKings,
for sure.
I mean, they have it locked down. I mean, you have people making thousands of dollars a week. And it's just easy, it's fun, it's no hassle, and you can be in 15 leagues off of $100. You know what I'm saying? And you can make $500.
I feel like a lot of companies owe us some marketing dollars after this conversation, and listen,
we definitely need some reparations.
And listen, since we're giving people some along with our hot sports opinions, we're giving them the ability to understand how to do sports
the player way.
Here's another tip for you. If you're a person who loves NFL Network, I know, Derek, that's for you. I know you love NFL Network. If you want to know how to do NFL Network without having to get the $170 bundle, if you want to know how to get that, you can actually go on Sling TV right now. For $20 a month, you can have NFL Network along with some of your local news networks. Fox Sports 1, so you can watch that MMA whenever it comes on. USA, Viceland, CNN. You can get all that stuff on Sling TV, and it's $20 a month. So, I mean, right now is
it's
a
almost
beautiful,
like, why wouldn't
wonderful
you do that?
time. It's a wonderful time to be alive if you're a sports fan, and that's how you do in sports. The play away, man.
You already know, man. Yes, sir. That's a nice little bow tie. I like that.
Hey, what else you got for us, Derek?
Well, if we're gonna bounce off of that, since none of us are worried about what we all been up to, let's just talk about the buzz, man. Just like we do, like you can see on our site, the buzz that we always got going. You wanna run down that, or you wanna
absolutely
just jump into,
absolutely. What Derek is referring to is PlayLifeYourWay.com. PlayLifeYourWay.com is the sponsor and presenter of the Player Way podcast. If you want to get the latest episodes of our podcast, want to know what we're doing on social media, and you want to know how we are developing stories from episode to episode, you can log on to PlayLifeYourWay.com. I believe Derek has the website up right now. Give us a quick rundown of what we got on the site right now.
That's right. What we got on the site right now, really the two biggest stories over the past week that we have all been buzzing about. Is Netflix has been in the headlines.
Yes.
Netflix, I'm not going to take the byline away because I really want Nate to run on that because he is definitely our resident comic expert on that and the other top billed article. But Netflix has been making headlines because, well, do you want to just jump into those two topics since obviously we're going to run into it?
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely. And Nate, man, Go ahead,
Nate.
Bless us, Nate, because you're out there in L.A. You got your ear to the streets, man. Tell us what's going on out there in Hollywood with this whole Netflix Disney situation.
Well, Disney announced a few days ago that come to 2019 that they plan on starting their own streaming service and
taking this ball and going home.
Well, honestly, I kind of think this is.
I'm taking my talents. Disney said, we're taking our talents back to Orlando.
A while back there were rumors of Disney trying to buy Netflix, and I still think they're trying to. And this
absolutely.
Absolutely.
What I got into a very passionate, spirited, impassioned debate with the wonderful Alex Maldonado, who is kind of like our lead writer on our website. And from Alex's perspective, it wasn't that big a deal in his opinion. He doesn't think it's, but
well, that's what I told you too.
Yeah,
I said
exactly.
I don't think this will hurt Netflix.
No, well, not in the immediacy, but what my point in the situation is that what Disney is clearly trying to do is devalue their investment in Netflix's success, because that's going to be their lead competitor. Because meanwhile, while they're talking about pulling their programming from Netflix, Hulu is actually pushed up a lot. They're promoting harder Disney stuff this week. When you go on the app, a lot more Disney titles are on that front page than there were before. I definitely feel like this is, and this is probably going to be the meat and potatoes of the podcast right here, is in a world where the Player Way podcast has the option. Exactly. Has the option of speculating on conspiracy. But what if it's a conspiracy? Conspiracy.
But what if?
On conspiracy theories, from week to week, we talk about what we think is going to be happening. So right now, for the next few moments, we're going to speculate on what could possibly be happening. So obviously, I'm kind of in a place where you guys know what I feel. We're going to get to what I feel, but I want to give someone who may be a little more conservative side of the argument. Nate, what do you think is honestly going to happen in this situation?
I think it'll be business as usual. they've already come out with the Netflix and Disney have talked about how they're going to keep or try to keep what they already have on Netflix. And also, they also have that deal where newer Disney movies will come out on Netflix as well. So, I mean, they probably have that for the next 2 years. Disney starting their own streaming service. They have a lot of content. They have Pixar, they have Lucas, they have Marvel. I mean, but am I going to pay monthly just to watch those movies?
Of course not.
Yeah, no, probably not. No,
I don't see that that's what's going on. I don't think that they're trying to create a standalone service that is like the Vault, because if you remember growing up, we grew up in that 90s period where the Vault closed at a certain period of time and you didn't have access to your favorite titles.
You just had to wait 10 or 15 years when you see that advertisement of coming out of the Vault, Peter Pan.
Exactly. And Disney has always been masters at getting you to go back to the stores.
I could have picked a better Disney movie, you're right, Nate.
Yeah, but now lately, in the last decade, that's not been as exciting. They've not gotten the same kind of buzz as before, and I think this is Disney's first and foremost. Before there's any talk of competing with Netflix, what Disney's trying to do is Disney clearly acquired some sort of technology. They've acquired a technology company, and as a result, they can't continue to help promote another brand. So they got to make sure that probably as part of their agreement with the company that they just bought, they got to pull some of their stuff from the lead competitor. So obviously that's the first thing that's happening. But the second thing is that they're trying to make sure that they create that magic of the Vault again. And I wouldn't be surprised if they even called it something like Vault TV or something like that. But at the same time, the conspiracy part of the conversation, and where things seem specious to me. I believe that Disney is going to not just have their own programming, but I think they're going to make an attempt at garnering relationships with other companies that have like-minded aspirations to compete with Hulu, with Netflix, because the big box companies aren't really competing when it comes to streaming. Not really.
Like
NBC,
HBO Go, for instance.
Or like even like let's talk.
HBO Go doesn't compete with Netflix.
No.
It doesn't compete with Netflix. It's
just, not at all.
If you want to watch an HBO series at any time you want to watch it, you want to just simply you're just going to go to HBO Go.
Exactly.
So do you think Disney is going to be more like a niche like that?
Like $15.99 a month.
I don't as much as Disney prints its own money, like I can't. Even with kids, I couldn't justify $60
no,
that's
a month
why that's Disney thing.
I'm thinking more.
Especially,
like
I still
Hulu,
have the Disney
man.
Channel.
Like,
I still have the Disney Channel.
Yeah, if y'all remember when Hulu first came out, NBC it was NBC's flagship brand. Like Hulu and NBC were tight knit when Hulu first came out. So I see this more so being that type of deal because ABC obviously is very, very closely associated with ABC. So this is going to be, I feel like this is going to be a streaming service where right now they're going to play ball with other companies. But if they can get this company off the ground, for sure you're going to see this company hardcore going after their intellectual property and trying to get their intellectual property under one roof. And even if they don't do that, by still farming out some content to Netflix, some content out to Hulu, and then maintaining their own flagship brand, they still are beating everybody because Netflix won't be able to do the same thing. They won't be able to double dip back into Disney's streaming service, nor will Hulu. So I think it's a smart thing that Disney's doing if they can get the technology off the ground. And that's going to be the linchpin in all of this is what company did they buy? You know, what technology do they have patents on, and how well is this going to work?
It's also worth noting too that Disney CEO Bob Iger, who's spearheaded everything in the last 10 years, he's also set to retire in July 2019. That's when his contract's over. So whether or not this actually gets off the ground and stays off the ground even under new leadership, that's to remain under question, I think.
I was just going to ask because, I mean, you two guys are very knowledgeable on this subject, so I feel like I would be more like more of the perspective of the consumer on this. Walk me through this. I mean, it's pointed at whoever's more comfortable with this one. Walk me through this. It's 2 years from this date right now, and I'm firing up my Disney streaming. Do I turn that on, and do I have access to every single Disney movie ever made? Are there different levels to this streaming thing, or am I looking at Disney TV series only? Am I looking at a whole Marvel section? Is it going to be sequestered in like a certain area, or am I just going to be it's all things Disney, anything Disney I've ever wanted to see for $15 a month, like an HBO Go? I mean, how do you see this? Because what you say it's still farming out to other streaming services. Nate. Would they still keep that on them? I don't know. Like, what?
I mean, everything's just speculation at this point. Because
but this is guys. Remember, feel safe, Nate. This is a conspiracy theory. Conspiracy.
I want you to tell me the opening graphic and animation immediately, Nate.
It's tough to say. I would say they would go like the HBO Go route with, "Hey, this is all our shit," But they also have a lot of.
Hold on, can I please? That is the tagline. That is the tagline. Disney, this is all of our shit.
That's the opening graphic right there, the castle, and then right under it is "This is all our shit." But look, they got a lot. They
with her wand.
They also own ABC. They also own ESPN. So how do you factor those in? Will those be included in your subscription?
I'm glad you mentioned that, Nate. Supposedly, the way this is all going and what the articles are saying is that this is all based on the ESPN subscription service that's already out there. There's already an ESPN streaming service. So supposedly, because that brand is kind of sinking, shout out to Alex Maldonado. I agree with you that the ESPN brand is not what it was. It ain't what it was, Rick, at all. No. And so we're living in a new frontier where ESPN is trying to figure out a way to be competitive. And I think if they figure out how to transform the ESPN brand into something new, then that's what this is all going to be based around. And again, we all know it's speculation. To answer Derek's question, the only way this is going to work, it's not going to work if Netflix still has Defenders. It's not going to work if Netflix still has access to their content. It's not going to work if Hulu still has exclusive content access. Because why? What's the differentiator?
Why would you? Yeah.
So what's got to happen in order for this to work is that 2019 deadline. This is all riding on that. If you tell me that this service will have Lucasfilm Universe, Marvel Studios, MCU access exclusivity, especially by that time, because we're talking about Infinity War Part 1 will now by that time be online. Okay, mm-hmm. We're also talking about all of the Disney originals and any of the other companies that they still are acquiring and have acquired over time. If this is the only place you can get this stuff, Derek, you already know what's happening. You got several kids in your house. You already know what you are going to be having on that television.
If that's what I was going to say, like earlier, as of right now, well, like I said, with the speculative aspect of it right now, it's like, why would I have all these other things? But if it's going to be tantamount to like HBO Go, like you said, where's the line that they draw? But if it's a streaming service that has every Disney movie ever, like, yeah, obviously, like I'm gonna have to. Like, it's
here's the other thing.
I mean, they own.
And here's the other thing that people aren't picking up on. It better
come with tickets to like Disney World too.
And here's the other thing that people aren't picking up on, and this is what I was trying to get across to Alex through our conversation. Current success, the current dollars that other companies are making that are competing with Marvel, competing with Star Wars franchises, competing with Disney originals, doesn't matter. Business at the level that we're talking about is all about what's happening 10, 15 years from now. 10, 15 years from now, people will not have physical media. Okay? Disney is trying to figure out how are we going to survive in a era where people aren't putting movies under trees anymore. Okay,
they're not buying videotapes, DVDs, and
Blu-rays. No, they're not buying DVDs. It's going away. They gotta find a way to take control. Take control of
and
our
we
Disney.
Give it back to you, the people.
Exactly.
Disney.
Exactly. That's what this is all about. Okay, so when you think about this, the reason why that 2020, 2019 time period. Yeah, why that deadline is so important, because that's telling you they're not talking about what's happening right now. The marketplace as it stands Doesn't matter. There's some research. Conspiracy. There is some research in the Disney conference room that we don't know about. There are some technology. There's something coming down the line, and this is preparation for that. This is the storm shelter.
What do you think? Do you think this is going to drop right when Infinity War Part 2 is coming out on Blu-ray?
There's an Illuminati out there.
Watch the entire Marvel series.
There's
on Walt Disney Streaming.
Like a Hollywood cabal consisting of Bob Iger, Kathleen Kennedy, Kevin Feige. These guys are sitting here wondering, how are we going to rule Hollywood? Absolutely.
Listen, man. I'm telling you,
it's going to be tough.
Guys, you got to think about this. I mean, in terms of Disney knows that the hottest thing smoking that they have right now is Marvel Studios. Mm-hmm. Marvel Studios is a beast. It is guaranteed money. It's guaranteed money.
Let me just piggyback off that. What's crazy is, as we look at the long line, I'm looking at the list of just what all they own right now, and I'm just still scrolling right now as I speak. You're right. Marvel is the hottest thing smoking, and what's crazy is like the next thing of like everything else that they have, like the Star Wars regime, like everything Disney. It is already still like head and shoulders above everything else. Like even their third place thing to them is a distant platinum goal for any other studio out there. So like their third worst thing is somebody's best dream that they could even achieve.
Guys,
it's what Sony only wants. They wish they could have.
Guys, you're talking about Netflix and Hulu competing against that. That's just the beginning. Okay? What I'm trying to get you guys to understand in this whole situation, imagine if this service, okay, I want to take you back to D23, okay? All right? Remember that wall of content that's coming out in the next 5, 6, 7 years, right?
Yeah.
Imagine if Disney turned around and said, and the only place to see the premiere of Infinity War Part 2 is not in theaters, it's via this application.
Boom.
This is where all our shit is.
It's done.
Okay, I'm telling you guys,
it's
y'all gotta look beyond the streaming,
that's
the on-demand streaming.
Like
we're talking about premiere of intellectual property. Exactly.
That's what I was saying. Like, if they sync this up with like a release of anything, be like, well, you don't have to wait for Blu-ray. You can just fire it up on Disney streaming, watch Infinity War release a month before it is on Blu-ray. All right. Yes, I will pay for that. I will pay for it yesterday.
I'm telling you.
I will put money down right now.
If Disney does this right, that is what's coming. That's the thing that you got to watch, is they are looking to have direct-to-consumer access. Okay? That's the word to remember. Remember these words. On episode 17 of the Player White Podcast, Disney is looking for direct-to-consumer access. Okay? A tube in every home.
Can I just give you a quick reminder of what they're looking at on 2019, BK?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Because late 2018 is leading in, of course, the Captain Marvel, but then they're going into Dumbo, Disney Toon. That's the untitled one, which who knows what that's leading up to. You got the Toy Story 4, of course, the live-action Lion King, Frozen 2, Mulan, the Star Wars Episode 9 by then, right?
Yeah.
Dude. That's
all it would take. We said it. All it would take is for one of those. All it would take is for one of those movies to say, "Oh, this is not going to the theater. It's going directly to this app." It's the same thing Tidal is doing. Tidal earlier this past couple of weeks. I guess it was earlier this week, but by the time the podcast came out, it would have been last week. Tidal came out with another visual for Jay-Z's 444 album for the song called Moonlight. And what he did on that visual, instead of it being a traditional music video, he recast the cast of Friends and actually got access to the original set that they made an episode on. Took the script and everything and remade an episode of Friends with the hottest black actors. And what's crazy is our fingers are on the pulse. Before we even knew about this thing coming out, we were talking about Issa Rae. We were talking about Get Out. You know, we were talking about these actors that were on this that we were in our last episode. So Tidal made all kinds of people come out of their pocket, myself included. I signed up for Tidal this week just because I couldn't wait another week and a half to see this thing. Everybody and their mom talked about it, and Tidal is exquisite at protecting the intellectual property. you might see a news show have like a small clip, but it's not bootlegged. You can't find it anywhere. And by the time you finally do get a bootleg, they've released it on Vivo, on Vivo and on YouTube. So if you want to be that person at the water cooler and you want to know how to do your media
the player way,
then you're going to want to get on Tidal and get early access, because I was at work and people are like, man, I want to see that. This one girl walked by my desk. Shout out to Megarita on the Rocks. Megan, she saw my desk. She said, whoa, you got Tidal? I had people in my cubicle watching this thing. You know what I'm saying? Just so you could be that person.
Don't let him fool y'all. He charged them all $5 a view.
Hey, listen, man. I got to make that money back, bro. I got to make that $10. What you think we're going to do for the Mayweather fight? You follow what I'm saying? So,
bro,
yeah,
exactly.
Tidal's not doing well. I mean,
hey, dude,
compared to Apple Music, look here. Tidal reportedly has like 3 million paying subscribers. Apple Music has 20 million. Spotify has 40 million.
Yeah, again, but again,
I don't think. I mean,
right now,
I get.
But if Tidal starts doing this, we're thinking about music streaming services in terms of just hearing music. What Tidal is doing is they're making original content, video content that you can only get through their network. And if you don't think that that's significant, the Genius brand,
like very geared. It's very esoteric. Like it's geared towards a small. It's not geared towards your average consumer. Our average consumer doesn't care about video content when they listen to music. That's why Pandora
think this is trying to like
exists.
morph into like a BET streaming thing or something like that. Like Tidal will become that.
No. Again, I'm going back to what I'm saying. Direct to consumer. That is the next wave coming. Direct to consumer. Meaning Jay-Z back in the day had to go to Best Buy, Kmart, Target, all of these stores to get...
Venture? Did he ever have to go to Venture?
Hey, man. All of that. Yeah, man. But, Sound Warehouse. To get your information, to get your intellectual property out to people, you had to go through all of these different roadblocks. Jay-Z, if he wants to make something, he just makes it and it goes up. And guess what? Regardless of whether or not you think he has enough subscribers, he doesn't have to go to anybody else to get that money. Yeah, they may not make as much money. Yes, they may not have as many subscribers as these other services, but their shareholders are going to make a whole lot more money because
it's more
you
of a
can't get Jay-Z stuff
move.
Anywhere else. You can't get Beyonce stuff anywhere else. All it takes is for other artists to realize, oh, this is an opportunity at direct to consumer. If they get enough of the intellectual property under their wheelhouse, they've won already.
Do you think artists would go to Jay-Z to be like, hey, man, I'm trying to be a part of this and have some sort of stipend or payout that they're doing to him just to be a part of it?
Beyonce and Jay-Z are so ahead of everybody, okay? And yes, just like Derek said about a different producer at one period of time, in my opinion, Jay-Z's consumption of pineapple is the best, and it makes his serum the most delicious. Okay, so yes, I might be having a little bit of that action going on right now, but I'm just telling y'all, Beyonce and Jay-Z are ahead of the curve.
Appreciate the support, BK. You already know.
It's the Rock Holla. BK's from Texas. So I'm just my thing about it is that once artists start to educate themselves on what direct to consumer means, that's when something like Tidal will take the next wave. Sorry, I couldn't resist giving that dad joke there.
God.
But anyway, but anyway, we're talking
just
about Tidal.
Creston Valleys here. We're not talking about a surfboard. Because then Beyonce had a song, and then the Tidal. What kind of time frame would you see this in? 6 months, a year, when artists are starting to beg Jay-Z and Beyonce
it's
so
so
they can
hard.
be a part of the
It's so
D2C?
hard, just like a surfboard. Sorry, I couldn't resist. It's very difficult to
Properly
put a
waxed
time
and
frame
sanded
on it. It's very difficult to man. You're making it impossible for me to get this moving.
Corrupted Dato.
Man, this is hard to sit on. Anyway,
Oh my God. Man, said he could sit on a popsicle. Tell you what flavor it is.
I think it's grape.
Wow.
Anyway, my point in all this is it's hard to give a timeline on any of these because we're talking about trends and we're talking about education of what direct to consumer means. I believe that when more artists and intellectual property designers start to understand what that means, and that more Disney type companies come forward doing it, then that will kind of determine it. And again, the other reason why it's difficult to give a timeline on it too is because we're still in the era of talking about what's going to happen with net neutrality. Because if net neutrality comes out, it's going to destroy any of this. Like when it comes to Disney and all these other companies, the only companies that will be able to withstand net neutrality are the Disneys of the world. I mean, if net neutrality wins out, even Netflix can go under. So it just depends. It's a weird time. There's been a lot of conspiracy theory talk in this segment. It's been fun. Hopefully the people listening out there are having fun. But long story short, to sum everything up, Disney has decided to take their ball home and take their talents back to Disney World and start their own universe, if you will. So we'll see what happens. And speaking of other companies making their own universes, we had a gentleman's bet last week about Annabelle Creation.
We sure did, but before we jump into Annabelle Creation and create that drama over that gentleman's bet, there was one more pin with regards to the Netflix Disney move, if we're going to talk about what's on our website. And Netflix did have a pretty decent acquisition, at least an interesting acquisition this week that we did at least want to hit on. I know Nate has some quick hits on that one.
Oh yeah, Netflix bought Millar World, comic imprint owned by Mark Millar, who might not be known to some people, but this guy got me back into comics 15 years ago. He's a wonderful writer. He's written Civil War, the original Civil War. He wrote The Ultimates, which is what our beloved Avengers MCU is sort of based on. He's did Kingsman, Wanted, Kick-Ass.
I didn't realize all that.
Yeah. He's a hell of a creator, and they paid quite a lot of money for his creations. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I mean, and I mean, the reason why, I mean, it's obvious, and this is another thing of why I was speculating on what Disney's going to be doing, even though they've come out with these press releases for Damage Control and saying, yes, we're not going to pull our content immediately. Yes, Defenders is still coming out. Yes, you'll still be able to get all of these things. You know, why would Netflix go to such lengths to try to get another big universe type brand to get exclusivity on? They're trying to be smart too. They're trying to make sure that they have enough intellectual property in case Disney decides to pull out, because in truth, all it would take for Disney to pull everything out of this deal is to just pay to get out of the contract. And we know that Disney,
and they can.
I mean, so that's why it's not intimidating to me. It's not out of the realm of possibility that all of the content can just come out before that 2019 period if the technology works. So
possibly, yeah. But Netflix has been beefing up its original content for the last couple of years. I mean, pick a show.
They have been, but the problem is Netflix is not a studio, though. Not really, not yet. I mean, they have
it kind
access.
of is.
Not in the same.
So I'm outside.
I mean, not in the realm of Disney, but I mean,
okay, so that's my point.
They're not doing theatrical releases. They're doing original content, which is recognized by a lot of people in this world. I mean, House of Cards,
I agree.
Orange is the New Black,
Stranger Things.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, but all of these brands that we're talking about, okay, the way the relationship works, because they're not a studio in the sense that Disney is. If there's an issue with okay, let's talk about Dumbo, for example. I'll give you a perfect example. If the guy who they brought on to direct Dumbo, if they have a problem with him, if he decides that he doesn't want to do Dumbo anymore, he can't just take Dumbo and go across the street and make it somewhere else. Whereas the brothers who created Stranger Things, if they get upset with Netflix, they will take it on with them. Yes, there will be a lawsuit, but they'll win that lawsuit and take it across the street somewhere else, just like Arrested Development or anything else. So that's the problem.
I think what they do is they give these people creative freedom. I mean, that's something that a lot of studios don't do. Netflix.
I heard it said they don't have a choice.
That's
like,
why
you say
they
that
go
as
to
if, like they're
Netflix.
giving them creative freedom because they just want to. If Disney doesn't give Disney doesn't give creative freedom because they have the ability to say, oh no, if you're going to do Spider-Man with us, we get to decide how it's going to go, and you'll just go along for the ride. And yes, you can have a lion's share of the profits, but it still belongs to us. You know what I'm saying? Like that's how a real studio works. You know what I'm saying? Netflix, they're doing what they have to do because they kind of slumped into original content. That wasn't what Netflix set out to do at all. So they've gotten some brilliant guys in the boardroom. I'm not trying to take anything from Netflix away. However, that's not what Netflix is as a company. They survive by and large not on their original content that they create, but on what got them to begin with, which is being this on-demand streaming service that has access to tons and tons and tons of content. So when that goes away, yeah, it's great that they have Stranger Things or some of these other, things available, but as their market share goes down, so too their profits. And so then starts the licking of the chops of HBO and of Disney and of anybody else that has a bigger checkbook and says, hey, why don't you bring Stranger Things over to HBO? So Netflix has, I love that everybody believes in Netflix so much. But people forget that Blockbuster had a lot of the same things going for themselves before they went under too. Blockbuster started going into doing original content as well. People don't remember that. Blockbuster had certain exclusive releases as well. Early on.
Yeah, I don't think you can compare the two. No way.
All right. I have a unique point of view. Like, I'm not discrediting that Blockbuster did their own original content, but the fact that no one remembers it is because no one remembers it. Like people remember, like Netflix did a good idea by tagging kind of original to Arrested Development. Netflix did incredible with Stranger Things. Their first original series, I want to say, was like Lilyhammer. It wasn't that big of a hit, but then when they followed up with like House of Cards and like these, like Ozark, man, this is that a lot of people are buzzing about, like these type of things. It's just
that was going to be what I was up to this week. I watched Ozark.
So let me get this straight. Before we go on,
it's a draw. It at least has a draw to it, right?
So let me make sure.
That's Netflix's thing.
Hold on. Let me make sure we say something.
I would generalize it.
Y'all just skirted me for a second, okay? So just to make sure we're on the same page about something. So y'all are gonna sit here and react as if Blockbuster wasn't the strongest thing going for a period of time. For longer than Netflix has been
not what
around.
I'm saying.
I don't think you can compare
I just don't
to
feel
Netflix.
that we can take Blockbuster alleged original content, which I don't even know what that was, versus Netflix original content. I wasn't comparing their original content. I was saying that a company as large as Blockbuster had original content as well at one point. My point is that they're not a studio. Netflix is not more of a studio, any more studio than Blockbuster was. They're video companies. They release content made by other content creators, and they still are, of course.
So that's my point. Is I'm trying to show you how.
Debating that.
I think you're sort of underestimating Netflix.
I'm not underestimating Netflix at all. What I'm saying.
Well, you're comparing them to Blockbuster.
I'm really excited. I'm just excited that Netflix might do something with Huck and the whole thing that Nate was actually telling us about with this Miller World. Like, why are you bashing Netflix so much? Why are you mad at Netflix?
I don't
or
know.
something?
He likes Tidal.
Are you just making them the? Are they who you thought you were? They're a fancier Blockbuster. Let's crown them. I'm crowning Netflix as a fancy Blockbuster with the cherry on top. No, I just Netflix is its own genre. Like they have nice original content.
It started off as a streaming service, but it's becoming a studio, and I think it's becoming a rather good one, and it's becoming a powerhouse. I mean, it's killing cable.
So you consider Netflix? Well, that's not what's killing cable. Netflix is not killing cable. Cable is killing cable.
It started the death of cable. It's certainly
cable started its own death. What's killing cable is cable's way of making money is not sustainable. The way that cable makes its money, it can't compete with Sling TV. Things like Sling TV that give you the whole cable experience is what's killing that right now. They are afraid of that type of service. That's the reason why Dish Network came out with Sling TV, because they realized they can't continue to compete in the type of world where they got to get the margins they got to get to feed their families. So that's really what's killing it, because Netflix has been going on, and Blockbuster and all these other things have been going on for just as long as cable's been going on. Blockbuster didn't kill cable any more than Netflix is going to do it. Where Netflix is doing a really good job is they were the first to the market, and they are slowly becoming a studio. Meanwhile, you have every other studio out here that, as long as a company like Disney doesn't get to direct-to-consumer quick enough, Netflix will have time to transition into being a studio, which is what Blockbuster was trying to figure out a way to get into. Okay, the direct-to-consumer type of the thing. So what my point is Blockbuster died before they got to what Netflix did. Okay, that's all I was trying to say. And Netflix,
gotcha.
Yeah,
okay.
So that's all I'm trying to say. And I am a little biased when it comes to what Blockbuster knew, because I did work for Blockbuster in that last decade or so when it started to go out. So I kind of have an understanding of what Blockbuster was trying to accomplish, and Netflix just did it faster because they got to streaming faster. But my point with Netflix is, again, Netflix is extremely based and contingent on the technology itself. If Netflix has a couple of bad days with that technology, it's over. Okay, Disney is not contingent on whether or not their streaming service works or not. They are still in business if they have a bad day. They have enough money to where they can play around the streaming, and if it works, then great. And if it doesn't, they're still cool. Netflix doesn't have that. So when I talk about Netflix, I'm not trying to take anything away from Netflix about what it can accomplish. But let's be honest about what the meat and potatoes.
They just have a way to go to become a studio. Like I know.
Yeah,
I agree with Nate.
Very
that
much
they're trying
so.
to become a studio. But I mean, there's several like articles out where some Bloomberg reports and everything about it. But they all point out just really like the longevity. They have Netflix has one Oscar. You know what I mean? When you have all these other massive studios who have lost more than Netflix's game, but it's plausible. Do you feel that Netflix would be easier transition into more of like a TV studio, since they're doing more of the original content as opposed to trying to be a movie studio? Do you think that's more plausible?
I think.
Yeah. I wouldn't even try to get into theatrical releases.
Well, see, no.
Deception.
Here's what Derek is getting at. Like, here's what he's getting at, and this is getting to what my point is. What Derek is talking about is their product stream is limited to one type of customer, and it's the Netflix and chill customer. Okay, if everybody decides tomorrow that they want to go out and play Pokemon Go all the day long, then Netflix will go out of business. If everybody decides tomorrow that staying at home and watching movies is not cool anymore,
I would just wonder why everyone decided that. And obviously Old Star will be real. Either that or Armin Zola came to life and controlled everybody with the CFDs.
This is quickly becoming a conspiracy theory episode. But my point is that it's what Derek is getting at is that what makes a true studio isn't the medium by which they're releasing their content. It's that the content is available and people will come to the content however medium they get to it. So Disney they got DVD physical, they got streaming services, they got on demand through cable, they got the theatrical releases, they got the actual come to the fucking place in Orlando and stay there, or in LA. You know, like, there's so many ways to get to their intellectual property that one service and one way won't stop their business. Netflix has only one way to get to the consumer. And if all of a sudden Apple decides, hey, we're not carrying Netflix on our device anymore because we're coming out with a streaming service like Apple Music did. All it would take is for Apple Music to say, now it's Apple Video, no more Netflix on any of our devices. If all of a sudden Roku decides, hey, we got a store too, and no more Netflix on our devices, Netflix would have to create a stream box to get the content to you. Then you'd have to adopt that, and then that would be how it worked. And if you say that doesn't happen, it's happened to other streaming services, and it's happening every day. Just because Netflix is big, don't think that they can't go out of business, which is why I keep saying, remember Blockbuster. If Netflix wants to compete, they got to continue to get more intellectual property, and they got to get control of it to where it won't go anywhere. And they got to make sure that they get a better. They got to ensure that the technology is going to be there for that content when it comes out. So,
as with most of theories and speculations, time will tell.
Of course,
that's what we're going to go. Time will tell. We got three geniuses here chatting about it, but I'm going to go ahead and uncork that pin that you touched on earlier, as time will tell, about that gentleman's bet. that we hit. So we just supposed to go ahead and hit that one, I think.
Absolutely.
If you agree with me.
I think what we've been kind of talking about is universes. We went from talking about direct to consumer to talking about universes, and that's why I kind of started pinging on that Annabelle creation leg. So yeah, absolutely. Let's talk a little bit about this gentleman's bet.
Bets. Place your bets here. We got a gentleman bet right over here. Let's get it going, boys.
Let's get into it. I would like to say that I said that I would be offended personally if it did over 20 million. So I'm just going to go ahead and be the first to admit that I'm offended. And as I said on the last podcast, I don't know who that affects other than myself, but that's what counts to me. And that person in the mirror that stares back at me, that's always in my way, and this, that, and the other, and hip-hop and more black words. But Annabelle creation decided to go ahead and dominate the week, which we all said that there was nothing else coming out this week to even compete with it. But it mollywopped everything.
You know what I'm mad about? I'm mad that I kind of let the conversation with you guys talk me down to 17.
Bring you down?
Because I was the guy. I was the one guy. If you listen to the episode, I was the one guy.
When Nate said 37, I was like, man, maybe I should go with 30. And I just didn't want to. I let my pride and ego be like, I will be offended if this is over 20.
And I was the one who said,
Derek,
I'm actually going to see that movie. And Derek was like, wait a minute. So you're actually going to go watch this?
I'm like, so you're going to go contribute to this?
Yes. Yeah, because it's damn good.
486
Because it's damn good. And my wife and I did go to see it, and it was so good that we decided to come home and have a marathon.
Did you go home and watch the original
we
one?
Came back. We watched Annabelle Creation, and we're going to skirt back into the box office hustle for a second because I want to give a quick little review.
But yeah, let's do that.
Quiet on the set. Can we please have quiet on the set?
Yes, can I have your attention, please? Box office.
Alright, it's time for the...
So I would just like to hold on. I apologize for the interruption. Don't give me that look. He's giving me a mean look. I'm just going to turn away from my computer so I don't feel bad about what I'm doing. I just want to go ahead and say that we're all over the place because Michael J. Fox is connected.
And we're back from I can't Nate, help us out.
How do you
man.
connect the scatter plot?
Michael J. Fox is a fucking saint.
I didn't say, hey, his religious views are perfectly fine. I'm just saying if we're connecting a scatter plot,
I'm not going to let
gonna
you
hand
sit
him
here
the
and
pen.
talk bad about Marty McFly. His license plate was out of time. Okay?
Yeah.
All right. And
Just like his...
And we're back from... I'm just going to go into Annabelle Creation Box Office Hustle. This is
Alright, it's time for the box office hustle.
All right, cut and print. Beautiful guy.
This is
Go
going
ahead,
down.
man. So you said...
All right, so
you said
Annabelle...
y'all went and watched this?
Yeah,
Break it down.
All right,
for
so
us.
Annabelle Creation, actually,
trying, Derek.
if you've never seen anything past the original Conjuring film,
Conjuring?
if you haven't seen Conjuring 2, if you haven't seen the original Annabelle, then you should.
I've seen 1 and 2, but I haven't seen Annabelle.
Okay, if you have not seen any of those other 3 films we talked about, it's actually better that you have not, because Annabelle Creation is the first film in all of the mythology. It kind of goes all the way back to where the whole idea of what Annabelle came from. If you watch the original Annabelle movie already, you kind of had this idea of what you thought was the genesis of the Annabelle doll and how it became what it was. You have no idea.
glorious.
You have no idea.
So these are all specific. Like, I know they marketed these together, but these are definitively, these 4 movies have to all do with each other.
They
Period.
are
The
a
end.
part-
It's not just like Conjuring and then Annabelle's
Here's
kind
what
of.
here.
That's not spin-off.
Here's what the studio has done, okay? What Warner Brothers has done with this franchise is they created their own universe. And they did it kind of early on before you started hearing other studios doing it, okay? And how they did it is all they had is they just had a scene in the original Conjuring film where you see this little totem kind of like pop carousel box, that music box that it opens and it scares the hell out of you, kind of like a Jack in the Box kind of thing. This is this thing that this ghost thing uses as a totem. And they talk about how there's these different physical items that you can't just destroy the item, because if you destroy the item, that's the barrel that keeps the demon inside of. Okay, so if you destroy the thing that it holds in the totem, you can't have any control over it anymore. The ghost, the demon, the witch, or whatever it may be. So
that's just that. Yeah, there's no issue.
Exactly. So the family that, and let me find the name of the family that does this. The Warren family. The Warren family, the husband and wife, original Ghostbusters. These people really did live. Okay, go to Google, do your research. They really did, and they documented all of these different things that happened. If you ever heard the Amityville Horror, they were along with getting rid of exorcising the demons in that situation too. So these people wrote books about what they did on their ghost busting. Whether you believe in them or not, their stories are incredibly entertaining. So for every totem you saw in that closet that they had in their little gallery.
Oh yeah, they have like that storage room.
It was like
of everything.
Yeah, it's like their own.
Yes,
it's like their own rogues gallery. Okay, to use a frame of reference that Spider-Man fans talk about.
That sentence was so delicious right now.
So essentially, there can be a movie about every single one of those totems in that room. And Annabelle's series is specifically about Annabelle, that totem, and all of the different people throughout the generations that had that doll and what made it. So there's like hundreds of these things that they can go on to, and as long as they stay consistent with the storytelling, it's gonna be butter. I mean, I'm telling you, I didn't expect much from Annabelle Creation. I watched it because I saw the other 3 films, and it is the best of all of them so far, in my opinion. I mean, The Conjuring is really good. The Conjuring is hard to beat, but...
May I ask you a question?
Yeah.
This is something that we always ask each other whenever we go see a movie, that we have low expectations, where sometimes it's better because we had low expectations, and sometimes it's just because it was already a good movie, and just because you had low expectations doesn't sway it. Now honestly, was this good because you had low expectations, or is this also just separately, it's a good movie and also maybe a little small exponent?
I'm going to sweeten the deal.
Oh, already?
Are
you going to make it a little bit?
I'm going to make it a little bit worth your while. Okay, as I tip my cap to you. Here's what Annabelle does to you in the last scene of the film.
Oh, he's going to do this? You're going to do this to me?
There's a scene from another film that you would have already saw before this film, and you go, oh, that was what was going on in that scene. That is the thing that makes people say, I am watching every episode of Breaking Bad. Because you're like, oh, shit. That's what they were talking about. When I was confused in the episode and I was like, where did that come from? They go back and they go, oh, this whole movie was about that one little scene. And what was the psychology of what happened in that scene. And you're like, I'm going home right now and I'm going to go rent that sequel and I'm going to watch that right now. And I want to make sure. Like, kind of like that moment that you had at the end of Rogue One, where you see the scene that leads right up to the beginning of the original Star Wars Episode 4. And you're like, I'm going home to watch Star Wars Episode 4. You feel the same way about going back. Because then, my wife, Rachel, she doesn't remember things from movie to movie. So she's like, I'm confused. Like, I know I saw the last film, but were those people in that movie? And it's like, yes, we're going home right now. Let's go watch it right now. And then right after we watch that, then we're like, okay, let's watch The Conjuring. Okay, then right after that, we're like, all right, Conjuring 2, got to do it. Like, that's what makes a really good horror movie.
Conjuring 2.
What makes a good horror movie franchise is when you watch one movie on a lazy Saturday on AMC, and you're like, I got to go watch all 3 Matrices right now. Even though I hate The Matrix, I got to watch all 3 right now. That's what makes really good horror movies, is watching all of the Michael Myers films and watching. So, I mean, and we all were speculating on why they would have gone ahead and released this movie now. It's because of the DVD on-demand release is going to be around Halloween. And
trying to just sync it up to...
Because they know you're going to marathon this movie. It's what I went out and did right after this movie. People are going to be doing it in the Halloween season.
Halloween's on a Tuesday too? Of course.
Bro,
Halloween's on a Tuesday.
You're going to go out there. They're going to spend an incredible amount of money on marketing their DVD release. You're going to be watching this, and people are going to be on on Twitter, on Instagram.
They're gonna have the package deal.
Bro, they're gonna be like, "Hey, hashtag Annabelle movie marathon," that kind of thing. So yeah, it was really well done. I don't want to spoil anything, but it is adequately creepy. The direction you think they're taking the film in, they don't. The body count is higher in this than I've ever seen in any of the Conjuring movies.
It's worth it.
And if you remember, I don't think they've ever had a body count in any of these movies before. They may have had like 1 or 2 in Annabelle. This one goes to the next level with it. So if you're looking for a Halloween
so you're saying they took it to a whole new level while...
Unforgivable.
Yes,
absolutely.
Yes.
So anyway, getting back to the...
Well, if you're going to talk about horror movies, there's another horror movie that I saw advertised a few weeks back that I just kept quiet about, that you just mentioned to me, and actually had a beautiful description of how you depicted it.
Oh, you talking about the trailer I saw in Annabelle Creation?
Yeah, that comes out on Friday the 13th in October.
Yeah, it's called Happy Death Day. Happy Death Day is basically if you took... let me go back for a second. Okay, so Groundhog's Day was a very funny movie. People love Groundhog's Day. It's got that Seinfeld-esque type of comedy that Bill Murray was well known for. And what a lot of people don't know, I found this out as a little known fact this week.
It's got the good message.
There was actually a deleted scene from that movie that actually never made it into the film to explain why that character was forced to repeat the same day over and over again. Supposedly, what was supposed to happen at the beginning of the movie is he broke up with this girlfriend who was into voodoo, fortune teller type stuff. And she got upset with him for being callous and being unfeeling, so she cursed him to repeat the same day until he found a woman who would actually want to fall in love with him. So that's why it took him forever to come out of that day. He was being punished into reforming. So that was so it was almost, but the reason why they got rid of it is because it had a horror movie sci-fi feeling to it, and it was supposed to be just this comedy. So people said, we don't care what happened. Well, this new movie called Happy Death Day says, you know what? Let's get some sci-fi. Let's get some horror in here. What would it be like if you found out on the day you were supposed to die, it was your birthday, you made a wish, and then you were able to repeat that day over and over again to catch the person who was going to kill you that night before you went to bed. It's like the ultimate, we all wish we had a second chance. So this movie's about a girl who she's a murdered college student, and right after she dies, she hears the ringtone that woke her up the day before. And she relives this day over and over again. It becomes kind of like this psychological detective thriller where she's trying to figure out how to kill this person. But here's the plot twist. The person knows that she's repeating the day over and over again. So this person figures out how to kill her differently each single time. So just when she figures out how to subvert this person's like, oh yeah, I knew you were going to look in that closet. I'm behind you this time. Oh, I knew you were going to leave campus. So I'm following you in a car. Oh, I knew you were going to get out there. That's the reason why I paid someone to put a bomb in this cake, and it's going to this. It's this cat and mouse to the next level, and it's not a huge budget movie, but it's got my money already. So there's a lot of really cool things coming out around the October season that are going to really get us right where we want to be around Halloween. But what's coming up the first week before Halloween, we've been talking about it for weeks, is that Man Trip. And that's what all of these gentlemen's bets are about. So with no further ado, so let's play that music. All right, gentlemen's bet.
Man, so he said he's got a friend named Cheddar Bob, man. Like, how's Papa Doc gonna rap against you now when you don't spit on? Man.
All right, so I'll let the most calm of us, the guy who had the lowest number, make the decision. Nate, you predicted the least amount of money on Annabelle.
What you didn't know is Nate and I said that we were going to combine our numbers. We made that deal behind closed doors that you didn't know, BK. Isn't that right, Nate?
I thought we were going to drop this because we were all under 25.
Oh! What he doesn't know is that Nate and BK already talked and subverted his corrupting the system, and therefore we corrupted his system.
Nate, you could at least give me a heads up.
No, hey, we corrupted the system, which means we corrupted the system.
This was said in the group chat, so we've all had adequate time to look at this.
I know that it was said in the group chat.
I read no group chats.
Say. I know.
This is
It's a loss for all of us. I mean, it's
a loss.
Sort of. It's
a loss for all
Nate
of us.
said, "Take your lobbying ass."
The
on.
only person,
no, we all lost.
The only
there.
person who won was me, because I actually watched the movie and it was glorious. Guys, I highly recommend it. It's really well done, and if you watch it, you're doing movies.
The Player Way.
That's right, the player
only way.
So, what else we got, D?
Well, we didn't lead off with it, but we could talk about what we've been up to, I guess, this week. But I want to let you. I'll have you know.
Never be a leadoff battler.
I'll have you know that I fired up a classic that's almost 20 years old, and it starts out with some red credits. It's New Line Cinema, and has a nice little opening club sequence where that song has been repeated throughout you and I, our vernacular, for the past 20 years, with some headlights on the side of your head going.
Yes, and if you wanted to know what song that was, it was Darude Sandstorm.
Yeah, I fired up Blade. I went ahead and watched the original Blade. Still can't believe this is almost 20 years old. But you know what else?
Man,
like
I feel like
wasn't it 97?
98.
Yeah, dude, it was bad.
Wow.
But I feel like because of what Wesley Snipes kind of went through, a lot of people don't give Blade credit for what it did. Everyone wants to talk about what Tobey Maguire did, but the real pioneer is Blade, dude. Blade. Dude, that original Blade movie was like, this is what a superhero movie could be.
Man, when I watched it, honestly, it holds up. Like special,
it ages
like
very
special
well.
Effects. That's really going to be the only thing that's going to be the quote unquote not holding up part. But plot, like
La
the gritty, yes, La Magra, bro. But I'm watching this, and as I'm watching this, first of all, I was still entertained. The soundtrack was still popping. But honestly, I'm watching it, and I'm like, man, it's got that grungy feel. Like, I would watch this as a Netflix series. You know what I mean? Like, I would watch this as a Netflix series. I would love to see Wesley Snipes doing this weekly, running into Mobius, running into Spider-Man, dealing with Daredevil, like those type of things. That would be awesome. Which, it even prompted me to fire up another Marvel Netflix series that we've talked about on this show, that since we're leading up to August 18th, and we know what series is dropping on August 18th, and if you don't know, you better ask somebody. I fired up Iron Fist, and I am on episode 6, and I gotta be honest.
Hold on. Okay.
Let me holla.
Time out. All right. So let me get this straight. You go from talking about Blade.
Listen to the tone.
And what Blade did, and then you have the audacity to come in here and say, hey guys, by the way, I watched Iron Fist. Like,
I figured
what am I going to do with you? You are too much.
I am something else. I am something else. Come look at this.
You are something else.
So as I'm watching Blade, realizing I'm like, man, this would be a really good series. Let me go watch a series that I thought was a bad series. All right, let me just watch this. We're leading up to Defenders, drop it on the 18th. I gotta at least watch it if I'm gonna watch Defenders. So I have a different perspective on Iron Fist. I've lowered my expectations, so it makes it a little better.
Oh, come on.
It makes it a little better.
Nate, are you gonna let this go on too?
As I'm watching it since when did this come out? Like April? This come out.
It's his time to wait.
This come out like
but he's
in April.
If he dies, he dies.
Yeah, April. Well, yeah, April. No, March.
It's been 5 months since it came out, and I watched it pretty much on the heels of Luke Cage, which I loved. Luke Cage, the soundtrack. I loved everything about Luke Cage, and I held everything to get that cotton mouth. And so, of course, we held everything to the standards of Daredevil, Luke Cage, in essence, The Punisher, which is Daredevil Season 2. So we did the same thing with Iron Fist. So I'm going back through. I'm trying to watch it with a different perspective, and it's not as bad as I remember it originally, but I'm also reminded of how Nate said, yes, clap. Shout out to you on the third row. All right, I like those jeans over there. I'm reminded of Nate telling me about the mediocre fight scenes, and I'm like, they are kind of mediocre. And then I'm also reminded how Alex says he's tired of seeing hallway fight scenes, and then I realize there's always a hallway fight scene in every Marvel Daredevil, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, Jessica Jones thing, and upcoming Defenders. But hey, I'm okay with it. It's gonna add somewhat to the Defenders. I'm gonna watch it. I got to at least watch it. I got to go back. That's why I got to go back. But honestly, man, I kept thinking, man, I would love a Blade series. So much.
Well, I mean, there was a Blade
No. I'm not talking about Sticky Fingers.
I think it was
Do
on
not bring
Spike
up Sticky
TV.
Fingers.
the most manliest of networks. Hey, since you want to go watch crap, go ahead, Derek.
It's definitely. We're in a time where it's plausible because Marvel does the rights to Blade have reverted back to Marvel.
Well, and not only that, I mean, the real reason why they can do it again is because black don't crack, and Wesley Snipes looks just as young as he did back in those
Man.
movies.
Or
So-
fuck it, have just an older Blade.
That's
you
what
know?
I'm saying.
Guys
I mean,
withered,
he wouldn't
yeah.
look older. They'd have
Yeah.
to put makeup on him to make him look older, but I mean, there you go.
But I would just, man, I would just be all about that, man. That's kind of what after I dealt with football and dealt with all this hot topics that we've been dealing with, I figured I'd corrupt my own system and I'm gonna tough it out all the way till the end.
What episode are you on?
I'm on episode 6.
You got about 17 board meeting episodes that you have to go through.
I will say this:
What I love,
his old
what
friend
I love,
or
what
his
I love,
alleged brother.
what I love is he talks about how he went back and went and watched through this thing this past week, and he's only on episode 6.
I just started
he
it
loved
last
it that
night.
much that he only got to episode 6.
I just started it last night, so by the time people are hearing this, I will have already finished it. So in the course of, Saturday night at 1 a.m. to Sunday morning, I've watched 6 episodes. So that's how into it I've been. I don't care. I can lone wolf this thing. Oh, I don't mind.
I was with you. I binged it back in March. So,
And if by binge, I believe you said nice background music to it, boardrooms in the background.
Yeah. Look, Derek, your reputation's on the line, bro. Like, you got to actually now finish this stupid series. So if you come back next week and you don't have it,
Disney can take that one back.
It will not be my fault because I
Disney's streaming service now offering Iron Fist.
Yes,
let that be
that's the key. Hey, listen. Speaking of moment of silences, man.
The opening, the title sequence to Iron Fist
awesome.
is pretty cool.
Is awesome.
I will give him that.
Yeah.
I will give it that because it doesn't star Danny
graphics.
Rand. It's just a bunch of shadows and clouds. That's
I love seeing his
The logo was amazing.
those shadows and clouds were doing better kung fu than Iron Fist did in his own series.
I will say when as I'm watching the fight sequences, your words of mediocre fight sequences is just so heavy in my head. Even watch who I assume is going to become White Tiger, I guess. Even watching her fight sequences of, all right, now turn to the left and turn back to the right. All right, push the hand at the knee of this gigantic gentleman and watch him flip over. I feel like I'm watching a poorly choreographed fight
and
scene.
you're only on episode 6. Just wait. Have you gotten to the docks yet?
No,
To where they're at the
I've
docks?
not gotten to the docks yet.
Oh, you are in for
Am
some
I in for a
spectacular scrumptiolescence. You are in for a treat. If you thought that was mediocre, which you've seen so far,
But wait,
get ready for
there's
the
more.
widest, most awkward shots ever that show every sin imaginable.
When did he? No, the real downpour to me was that episode where he had to go through like the trials and fight the 3 different bad guys. Did you get
That
to
was
that
bad,
yet?
too.
No, the last thing.
Yeah, that was bad,
yeah,
too.
because I'm only on 6.
Yeah, you mean the guy who actually would have been a great villain for the end of the series?
I love the guy who plays his brother. How
I like that guy.
completely boring
Let's see
he
more
is.
of that guy. Oh no, wait! It's the end of the episode. Get ready. That'll make a whole lot more sense to you if you haven't seen that already.
What the trailers for Defenders have, I think, accurate or portrayed Danny to be almost like the comedic relief.
Yes,
because
definitely.
he's so, I don't know, naive and.
He's that guy in he's that guy in every man crew who is the butt of everybody's jokes, but he doesn't know he's the butt of everybody's jokes.
It's like that meme
And
that
so
says in every group there's a Mitch in every group, and if you don't know who it is, You're the Mitch.
You
You invite
Yes! Every group,
you
every-
invite him
everything.
along because his mother asked you to, and he needed some friends. That's who Iron Fist is.
Because you need some Mitch. You need some Mitch to make fun of. Like, you just need somebody to be the scapegoat for all the things that go wrong, even when it's not his
And
fault.
what's nut is he should be like an incredible force. Like, be like, sit down, Daredevil. Like, me and Luke will handle this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it could.
Yeah.
I think the best Iron Fist ever
definitely-
portrayed is the one that's on the Ultimate Spider-Man cartoon series. That Danny Rand is the one. Is the real Iron Fist.
I hope he gets redeemed. Honestly, I really do. 'Cause he is a cool character.
All jokes aside,
Well,
I'm really
kind of,
excited for
but-
Defenders, at least. Maybe he'll be kind of like the one.
I like how Nate immediately backed out of giving Iron Fist his props for being awesome. You know, Iron Fist is an amazing character. I mean, wait, kinda.
Like, you know, like, has a nice sense of style. Kinda.
You know,
I never put my feet on another than counts. I mean, what's wrong? You know.
Yeah, I remember
never
grinding
do
my
that.
feet. I feel like they're probably going to go the way, kind of like how the MCU did with Hulk, where they just started. And you're like, we don't need a standalone movie. We'll just pepper it in when we need it. I feel like maybe they might do that with him in
he's
this.
already announced to have a second season.
Say that one more time.
They already announced that he's having a second season.
Oh, well. Is it going to be like a
there
second
goes that.
season? Well, is it going to be like a second season?
Well, it's
like
a different
Punisher second
showrunner,
season?
so
Oh, okay.
no, it's a different showrunner. So I mean, here's hoping.
I mean,
Is
and it's
Punisher in
impossible to make it
Defenders,
worse.
guys, because one of the teasers I saw him at the end of it.
I
Am I late
think
for the
he'll
party
be
and he walked
last
in there? Did y'all
episode,
see that?
maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, he'll be in there, but they're really promoting him. They're plugging him for his own spinoff.
Okay.
So it's more so fodder for that.
Fodder, yes. Every
Yeah.
time you say fodder, I only think of Attack on Titan. Just so you know.
Yeah,
He
so
could
that shit,
be-
absolutely.
He might be what saves the day on the last episode.
He's gonna get
I
his
brought a
double.
secret
Is he gonna
weapon.
get his double iron fists at that time? All right, I have some extra. The plane has opened up to where the dimension where I trained for 15 years was now here, and now I have 2 iron fists. I can't wait.
I think it's time to wrap this episode up. Nate, what did you do this week?
I watched Ozark on Netflix, which is
right.
actually a pretty good show, starring Jason
So
Bateman,
so
Laura
far, so
Linney.
good. Good going. Yeah. So far,
if
so
you-
good. Keep going.
If you like Bloodline, you'll like this show. It's the same tone.
Ooh.
Everybody's moody. There's no one smiling. No high fives going around.
Ooh, all right.
You know, trade one small town for another.
Man,
Trade in some crime.
what's up?
I don't need to see an Ozark season 2, but I know it's
All
coming.
right, I'll keep that in mind. Have you seen Animal
Yeah.
Kingdom yet?
No, I've never heard of that.
I've been wanting to see that. Supposedly, Animal Kingdom is like a really good follow-up series. If you are you remember how HBO came up with Boardwalk Empire for people who were still going through withdrawals from Sopranos. So it feels like a really good series to follow up with that if you still want that feeling. Supposedly, Animal Kingdom is a really good series to follow up if you loved Sons of Anarchy. So I'm probably this week going to try to take a look at that and tell you guys what I thought about that.
All right. Nice.
Hey, if there's nothing else for the good of the order, we got a moment of silence.
No, I had nothing.
That was it.
to
That was
this
the moment
week,
of
actually. Yeah.
Everybody's cool on Nate's list.
well-
Moment of silence to the Buffalo Bills, actually.
For
'cause
losing-
Their season looks to be over.
Why would they trade him
They
away?
look to be in rebuilding stage, and they got they actually picked up a few draft picks for next year's draft. So I think they're expecting a pretty high draft pick next year. Got rid of their
And-
top wide receiver.
I do have a moment of silence. Moment of silence for the United States Western Seaboard. Apparently, Nate, we may not have you as a co-host for very much longer because your part of the country may be nuked pretty soon.
But
So
fucking North Korea.
yeah, dude. Like it's not so much about North Korea. It's not about the adversaries. It's very much about. I know we don't get political too often, but yeah, our president needs to stop being a shit talker. He's gonna get us beat up. Our president is like that. It's like that one kid who used to talk you up to beat up on the bully. And like, you got this, man. You can go on and do that. Come on, man.
The instigator.
Nobody can talk with your stuff, you know. And then you go out there and get your ass kicked, and he's nowhere to be found after it's all over his head. He's down in his bunker somewhere, avoiding the flurry of punches to the head.
You know, I grew up with North Korea not too far away from me, above me, and they've been saying this shit for the last 32 years
of course.
my life.
But but our president's gonna be the one that makes them. You know what? I'll push the fucking button. Go ahead and push the button.
No.
He's not the first president to say that.
Because the armed forces in Korea could take over North Korea. Like,
of course.
This is a country that receives aid from so many different countries. If they really do that, they wouldn't survive. Let's be real.
It's a wrap.
Well, I just want to give you a moment of silence in advance. I'm trying to give you roses while you're still alive.
But if I'm not here next week, then they called me on my bluff, and
and yes, of course, Derek and I will still be caring about a podcast. So we'll be back and showing you how to do your post-nuclear entertainment the player way. We'll be talking about pickup sticks and fried squirrel.
Some jacks too. I have a nice jack set.
Slinkies were popular back in the day.
I want to tell you, Nate, we will give you a proper moment of silence, like a solid at least 5 to 9 seconds of actual true silence.
You know,
at least
Nate. Nate really loved his slinky.
And I'll go watch Fifth Element in your honor. Okay, I'll watch Fifth Element.
Maybe the nuclear energy will sort of awaken my latent powers, and I'll become a superhero. So
that is the best situation.
And then Derek will be so jealous, and he will become Rorschach out of all of it.
Yes, just out of anger, out of just sheer anger.
You're in here with me.
That's the problem. I'm not locked in here with you. You're in here with me. Yes. Just even saying that depressed me. Like, just the idea of someone that I know getting superpowers. Like,
and not
yes, I feel like someone that I know would get superpowers and specifically never use them just to be like, but dude, you could teleport. Yeah, but it's cool. Like, I'll just go over here.
Hey, listen. Now,
you're a jumper.
And before we go,
use it.
A shout out.
You're starting to sound like Samuel L. Jackson in
Jumper,
Unbreakable.
Oh, Unbreakable, even better.
No,
yes,
in Unbreakable.
If there's somebody, Derek is gonna be like, if there's somebody like me in the world, I knew that there would be someone like you, Nate.
As I roll my wheelchair up, and you just easily tip me over in it. All right, well, I don't even have to use my superpowers. Let me just put the brakes on.
Meanwhile, I'll continue to live my normal life as the real life Lil Rel to Derek, being his friend from the TSA that he could talk to and help save him from himself.
Save me. Just show up in that car and get me out of there. No questions asked why I have a shotgun and why there's a dead white girl in the road. Let's just get out of here, all right? Just get out of here. We'll tell the story on the way.
Exactly. And that's going to do it for this week for the Play Away podcast. We've been all over the place this week, but as you guys understand, we are the premier entertainment blitzcast that you can find anywhere that you find podcasts. And if you're listening to us, then you are doing podcasts
the player way.
That's right. You're doing it the player way. Thank you so much for being out this week. And normally we play ourselves out with the song stylings of Xander, Coconut King Diaries. But we're going to do something a little different this week. So first and foremost, respect to my co-captains, Derek.
Corrupting the system. You already know.
And Nate.
That's me. Hopefully I'm here next week.
Absolutely. We hope so too. And we're going to play you guys out to Flatline by an amazing upcoming artist named Scotty Pimp. This project I had the pleasure of being executive producer on. So yes, I'm going to use the podcast that I edit every week to shamelessly plug my own product and get high on my own
Hard
supply.
Knocks and Cheap Pops right there in Atlanta, Georgia.
Exactly. But Scotty Pimp, hottest thing smoking out of the Atlanta area by way of Savannah. Him and his crew got some great things going. So hop on over to Spotify if you love this song, or go on iTunes and make a purchase. But if there's nothing else for the good order, we'll see you guys next week on the Play Away Podcast.
Take a shot, make it flatline, flatline. I just make it flatline. Somewhere out behind me, they just watch a young grind, young can kill it flatline. cold, you shouldn't walk the road. Youngin, walk a tight line. I just kill it flat line. Rolling my switch and no roller. Government fashions, they secretly acting. I swear that they try to control us. Fuck what they talking, my soda is purple. Back in the past, move fast to losses. One day figured out what a boss is. Now my money keep on climbing, it's exhausted. No safe for my mind, so I lost it. Fostered, pop should've came for a nigga. Grew up in the streets, it was made for a nigga. All my niggas paid the way for a nigga. See the rocks on the red, got thrown in the sunlight. Someone saw the nigga flipping, but I never stunned, right? The Brazils in my face till the nightfall. Can't tuck, got a nigga feeling mummified. Lord shit, better bow when you see us, cause the pirates take shots. Drop squad, got a nigga rock star fitted. Dragging on my guy, he's a monster, man. All this flatter, we quit it, no museum. We just try to be the thing that they exhibit like 3 cops in the hideout, ride out. Oh shit, more coming in from the side door. Made a phone call, hold it, made it out, saved dog. That's why I always put the money in the safe dog. Niggas snitch when they lose and they race and they end up 6 deep. War stories 3-beat. Check out, no receipt, VC, stay shit. I be on my base shit, gear ship. Cruise home and I'm hot with an iron at bit. That's where I go, tip. Fireworks go off on the 4th, put the 5th. Use you when you find a nigga in the dirt like. Gonna have my mind, take a shot, make it flatline. Flatline, I just make it flat.
Thanks for listening to the Player Way podcast. Recorded at a single take from Los Angeles, California, Dallas, Texas, and Atlanta, Georgia, by Nathan Peterson, Derek Lewis, and BK Jackson. Our opening theme is titled Bound by Ricky Remedy, courtesy of Elysian Records. And our closing theme is titled Coconut King Diaries by Xander, spelled Zahnder. You can find this music by both Ricky Remedy and Xander, and many more tracks on SoundCloud. And remember, no matter what choices you make or paths you follow, just make sure you do it the player way. See you next week.